For more than 900 years, the people of planet Ryvor guarded a strange and ancient sword. It stood in the center of a round stone platform inside the Temple of Echoes, glowing with a soft blue fire that never went out. No one knew who made it. No one knew why it was there. But every Ryvorian child grew up hearing the same legend. Only the one with a true heart will lift the sword. The sword will not choose strength. It will choose spirit. Because of this legend, warriors from every corner of the planet tried to lift it. Generals with heavy armor, kings with tall crowns, hunters with powerful claws, and even mystic monks all had placed their hands on the sword, hoping to pull it free. All failed. The blade did not move even a single hair. The sword became a symbol of pride. Aliens would come from far, far away just to try lifting it. Some tried for hours. Some tried for days. But the sword stayed silent and still, as if it was part of the stone itself. And then, one quiet morning, a stranger arrived on the planet. He was not tall. He was not strong. He was not glowing with power like the alien warriors. He was just a human. A young engineer named Eli Grant. Eli had been sent to planet Ryvor for a simple job: repair old power systems and check broken machines. He had no idea there was a legendary sword here. He had no idea the entire planet laughed at humans behind their backs. To the Ryvorians, humans were small, soft, and weak. They thought humans were only good at fixing wires and cleaning metal panels. When Eli stepped off his small shuttle, he looked around with wide eyes. Everything around him looked strange and beautiful. The sky was a deep purple. The trees had silver leaves that shimmered like tiny mirrors. The ground was covered with glowing blue grass that made soft sounds when the wind passed over it. His guide was an alien girl named Sira, who worked with the repair teams. She was tall, with blue skin and bright yellow eyes that looked like little suns. "You are the human engineer?" she asked, tilting her head. "Yes," Eli said, smiling shyly. "Eli Grant." "You are smaller than I expected," she said honestly. Eli laughed a little. "I get that a lot." Sira looked at his tools, then back at his face. "Well, follow me. The city is waiting for you." As they walked, Eli noticed something strange. Everywhere they went, aliens stared at him. Some pointed, some whispered. Some even laughed softly. "Do humans really seem that weird?" Eli asked Sira. Sira thought for a moment, then nodded. "Yes, very weird." Eli sighed. "Great, that's wonderful." They entered the city of Kimal, full of high towers and floating bridges. Everything glowed with soft lights and moving patterns. It felt like walking inside a living painting. But one building stood taller than all the rest, a huge circular temple with crystal columns and a bright blue flame burning on top. "That is the Temple of Echoes," Sira said. "Our oldest place. Inside it stands the sword of Ryvor." Eli looked at her curiously. "A sword?" "A sword no one can lift," she replied. "Not even our strongest champions." Eli raised his eyebrows. "Maybe it's glued to the stone?" Sira blinked at him. "What is glue?" "Never mind," Eli said. They walked past the temple. But something strange happened to Eli. As he moved by the entrance, a soft humming sound filled the air. He paused and looked inside. The sword stood there tall, shining, quiet, and for one short moment, he thought the sword was glowing brighter. "Did you see that?" Eli asked. "See what?" Sira asked. "The light. It changed." Sira shook her head. "The sword's light never changes. Not in 900 years. But Eli couldn't shake the feeling that the sword had turned toward him, like it was watching him. Later that evening, after a long day of repairing power lines and adjusting broken energy coils, Eli returned to his small room. He was tired, but his mind kept drifting back to the temple. Why did the sword glow brighter when he walked by? He tried to sleep, but in his dreams he saw the same thing. the sword humming softly, calling to him like a whisper from far away. When he woke up, his heart was beating fast. The dream had felt too real. He stepped outside for fresh air. The city was quiet under the purple night sky. Birds with crystal wings flew above him, leaving shining trails. Then he heard footsteps. He turned and saw Sira. "You cannot sleep either?" she asked. Eli shook his head. "I keep thinking about the sword." Sira stared at him carefully. "Eli, no one thinks about the sword. They try to lift it, fail, and forget it." "But it felt like it moved," Eli whispered. Sira's eyes widened. "That is impossible." Eli looked at the temple glowing in the distance. "Then why do I feel like it was calling me?" Sira didn't answer. She just stared at him silently, as if she was suddenly unsure of something. A cold wind brushed past them. The blue grass rustled. The ground beneath their feet trembled, just a little. Sira gasped. "The planet is moving. Something is waking." Eli swallowed hard, and deep inside the temple, the ancient blade glowed brighter than it had in centuries. As if something had finally arrived. As if someone had finally come. As if the sword had found a reason to wake. The next morning, the city of Kemal was louder than usual. Sirens echoed in the distance. Aliens rushed through the streets carrying scanners and metal cubes. The purple sky flickered like a broken lamp. Something was wrong, and everyone could feel it. Eli walked with Sira toward the repair station, rubbing his tired eyes. He had barely slept. The dream of the sword whispering to him still felt fresh. Sira looked at him with concern. "You look sick. Humans can get sick very easily, right?" "I'm fine," Eli said, though he didn't believe it. "Just, the dream was weird." "What dream?" Eli hesitated. "The sword. It told me to come closer." Sira stopped walking instantly. Her long tail stiffened behind her. Ryvorians only did that when they were scared. "Eli," she whispered, "the sword does not speak. Never. It only waits." "Then why did I hear it?" Sira didn't answer. They kept walking until they reached the repair station, a giant workshop full of glowing machines. Aliens with 4 arms moved fast between tables. Some gave Eli quick, curious looks. Others pointed at him like he was a lost animal. One worker laughed loudly. "Look, the little human is shaking." Another added, "Humans break easily." Maybe the dream broke him. Eli forced a smile and ignored them. He was used to aliens joking about humans, but something felt different today. Their voices sounded nervous, as if they needed someone to blame. Sira pulled him aside. "Don't listen to them. They fear what they cannot explain." "Then what about yesterday?" Eli asked. "Why did the sword glow when I walked by?" "Maybe it was a trick of the light," she said quickly. But her eyes told a different story. She wasn't sure anymore. Before Eli could say anything else, a deep rumble shook the building. Tools fell off shelves. Machines blinked off. One alien screamed as sparks burst from the roof. Another earthquake. "Second one in 12 hours, Sira said. "This is not normal." A loud voice echoed through the workshop. It came from a tall alien captain wearing silver armor. "All workers evacuate to the city square." The ground sensors detected movement under the temple. The word temple struck Eli like lightning. The sword of Ryvor, the glowing stone, the dreams. He felt a strange pull in his chest, almost like an invisible hand was tugging him toward the temple. Sira grabbed his wrist. "Eli, something is happening, something old." They joined the crowd running toward the city square. Buildings shook. Blue dust fell from the sky like ash. Aliens whispered fears Eli didn't understand. Is Jada returning? Has the prophecy begun? Was the sword disturbed? Eli looked at Sira. "Who is Zadar?" She swallowed hard. "A creature from the old world." A monster so powerful the first rulers sealed it underground. If it wakes, our planet dies. Eli felt his heartbeat quicken. So the earthquakes, yes, Sira said, are warnings. The city square was packed with thousands of aliens. Leaders stood on high platforms, shouting orders. Above them, a huge hologram showed a crack opening under the Temple of Echoes. But when the crack widened, something else happened. The sword glowed brighter. Brighter than anyone had ever seen. Gasps filled the square. The sword is waking, someone shouted. This has not happened in centuries. Who touched it? Who disturbed it? Eli's chest tightened. He knew the truth. He had not touched the sword, but the sword had spoken to him. Twice. Sira looked at him with a mix of fear and confusion. Eli, are you sure you didn't go inside the temple? No, he said. I only walked past it. But Sira did not seem convinced. Suddenly, a soldier pointed at Eli. Human, come here. Eli froze. The crowd stared at him like he was a bug under a magnifying glass. Why me? He whispered. Just go, Sira urged. Eli stepped forward. 2 tall guards surrounded him. Their armor hummed with energy. State your name, one guard demanded. Eli. Grant, he said quietly. The guard scanned him from head to toe. The scanner beeped loudly. The guard's eyes widened. There is energy on him, he whispered to the other guard. Echo energy. From the sword. A shockwave went through the crowd. Aliens moved back as if Eli carried a deadly disease. The human touched the sword. He awakened it. This is impossible. Humans are weak. Eli raised his hands. I didn't touch anything, but his words were drowned out by the noise. Sira ran forward. Stop, he's an engineer, not a warrior. One of the leaders stepped down from the platform, a tall elder with skin like polished silver. He looked at Eli carefully. Human, come with me. Eli's throat felt dry. Where? To the temple, the elder said. We must test the truth. The guards led Eli through the panicking crowd. Aliens stared at him with wide eyes, some angry, some afraid, some whispering prophecies. Sira tried to follow, but a guard blocked her. Only the human enters. But he is my partner. She cried. Not anymore, the guard said. If he woke the sword, he belongs to the temple now. Eli turned back to her. I'll be okay, he said, though he wasn't sure. As the guards pushed open the huge crystal doors of the Temple of Echoes, a wave of blue light burst out. The sword was glowing like a small sun. The stone around it was cracking, and the hum in Eli's head was louder, clearer, almost like a voice saying, Come closer. Eli took a shaky breath. He didn't belong on this planet. He didn't belong in this temple. He didn't belong near this ancient weapon. But the sword didn't care where he came from, that it wanted him here, and something in the shadows. Beneath the temple, something massive, something ancient, was finally waking. The Temple of Echoes was silent when Eli stepped inside, too silent. No birds, no wind. Not even the soft hum the city always had, only the sword. Glowing like a living star, the floor was cracked beneath it, long lines stretching out like lightning frozen in stone. Blue dust floated in the air, dancing slowly around the blade. The closer Eli walked, the heavier the air became, like invisible. Pressure pushing down on him. Behind him, the crystal doors sealed shut. Thud. Eli twisted around. The guards were gone. The elder was gone. Even Sira was far outside. He was alone with the sword. A small voice inside him whispered, Turn back. But the stronger voice, the one that had filled his dreams, whispered again, Come closer. Eli. Step forward. With each step, the cracks in the ground lit up softly, as if sensing him. Step, glow. Step, glow. He swallowed hard. This is crazy. I shouldn't be here. But the sword disagreed. Its glow brightened. Its hum deepened. The blade wasn't just metal, it felt alive. Suddenly, the entire temple shook. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The floor trembled under Eli's feet so violently he had to grab a pillar to stay standing. What is happening? Eli gasped. A loud roar echoed from deep underground, low, monstrous, ancient. The temple walls shook. Statues cracked. Crystal windows shattered. Eli's heart thumped hard. That doesn't sound like an earthquake. The roar came again. Louder. No, it wasn't an earthquake. Something alive was moving beneath the planet. Eli staggered back as the stone floor ripped open in the center. A beam of purple energy shot upward like a volcano made of light. It twisted around the sword, shaking it violently. Eli ducked, shielding his face. What is happening? For the first time in 900 years, the sword moved. Only a little, but it moved. And then the voice inside his mind returned, clearer than ever. You must lift me. Eli froze. I can't lift you. I'm not a warrior. But the voice didn't fade. You were chosen. Eli shook his head. No, that's wrong. I'm just an engineer. I tighten wires, I fix tubes. The temple trembled. Again, stronger, like something gigantic was pushing from below. Blue dust became thick in the air. Heat waves rolled up from the cracks. A distant scream echoed from outside the temple, someone shouting for help. Eli's hands trembled. Sira. Then the hum around the sword sharpened, turning into a painful ring that made Eli fall to his knees. He clutched his head. Stop! But the ringing didn't stop, it only grew louder. Sharper, more desperate. Lift me. A flash exploded. Behind Eli's eyes, images burst into his mind, fast burning, impossible to ignore. A giant creature breaking chains deep underground. Flaming eyes. Teeth longer than swords. Wings made of purple fire. The planet cracking open. Cities burning. Ryvorians screaming. Sira crying. And Eli standing alone against the monster. Holding the glowing sword, he gasped and fell backward, sweating. No, that can't be real. But the sword pulsed again, one strong heartbeat of light. Lift me, or Ryvor falls. Eli's breath caught. The voice wasn't angry. It wasn't loud. It sounded old, tired, and scared. A weapon scared? What kind of monster could frighten a sword like this? The ground shook again. Stone pillars cracked. A giant split opened in the floor, sending a shockwave across the temple. Eli barely dodged falling debris. Dust swallowed the room. Purple light flashed from the cracks. The roar from below grew louder, so loud the entire temple vibrated. Eli staggered forward. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even know if I can touch you. But his legs carried him toward the sword anyway. Each step felt heavy, like wading through thick water. Sweat dripped down his forehead. His breath came out shaky. The humming grew louder, until it felt like it was inside his bones. He reached the platform where the sword stood. The blade was glowing brighter than the sun. The air around it rippled like heat waves. The humming became a clear voice. You are not strong. You are not brave. But your heart is true. Eli whispered. How would you know that? Because I feel fear inside you, and still you walk toward me. Eli stared at the handle. It looked simple, ancient, waiting. My whole life, Eli whispered. People said humans were nothing special, weak, soft. The sword pulsed. Humans break easily. Yes, but humans also stand up, again and again. Another roar exploded beneath them. The temple floor shook so violently, Eli fell to one knee. He looked up. The sword was shaking too. It's coming. Eli whispered. Isn't it? Yes, Jader, the destroyer. The devourer of worlds. And I'm supposed to stop it? Eli asked, voice cracking. Not because you are strong, but because you will try. Tears filled Eli's eyes. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a hero. He fixed cables. built tools, saved spare parts in his pockets, but the voice was right. Even now, shaking in fear, he wasn't running. He reached out slowly. His hand hovered over the sword's handle. The air around it burned like fire and ice at the same time. He closed his eyes. "Please, don't reject me." And he wrapped his fingers around the handle. Instantly a blast of light filled the entire temple. The cracks stopped glowing. The roar below paused. The sword hummed like a heartbeat. Eli's breath caught. The blade was warm. It did not shock him. It did not push him away. It accepted his touch. Behind him, the giant crack in the floor began to widen, and something massive, scaled, and breathing fire started rising from the darkness. The temple floor split wider, tearing open like a giant mouth. Purple fire shot upward from the gap, throwing shadows across the glowing walls. Ayla stumbled back, still gripping the sword that had finally allowed him to touch it. His heart thundered inside his chest. He had not lifted the blade, not yet. He only held it. But even that felt unreal. The hum in his head whispered softly, "Do not fear. I am with you." But fear was all Eli could feel. A massive claw, black, scaled, and steaming with energy, rose from the gap. Then another. The creature dragged itself upward, each movement shaking the entire temple. Eli staggered toward the sword again. "I'm not ready for this," he whispered. "You must be." The sword pulsed in his hand, warm and alive. Boom. A huge head emerged. From the darkness, horned, armored, and breathing hot purple mist. Its eyes opened, glowing like twin suns. When it roared, the entire planet seemed to tremble. Sira had told him stories. But nothing prepared him for this. This was Ryvor, the ancient destroyer. Eli's legs trembled so badly he almost fell. No. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even brave. He was just a human engineer who fixed broken wires. But the sword whispered again, "You came forward. That is enough." Ayla sucked in a shaky breath and stepped onto the platform again. Outside the sealed temple doors, thousands of aliens gathered. The ground still shook beneath their feet. "The beast is rising," someone screamed. "The sword is waking." "What if we all die?" Sira fought through the crowd, desperate to reach the guards. "Let me inside. He shouldn't be alone." But the guards blocked her. "No one enters the temple." Sira's eyes filled with fear. He's just a human. He can't face Ryvor alone. Inside, Eli barely held his balance as his Ryvor pulled more of its huge body from the crack. It was taller than the temple columns, its wings scraping the ceiling with sparks of energy. The creature's voice rumbled through the air like thunder. "Who disturbs my sleep?" Eli froze. The voice felt as if it could crush his bones. He swallowed hard. "Hi, I'm Eli." The beast roared again, louder, angry, ancient, and the blast of energy threw Eli back against a wall. He hit the ground, coughing. The sword slid a little, but he refused to let it go. "Stand," the sword urged. "You cannot fight lying." "Down." Eli struggled up to his feet. "You keep saying fight, but how am I supposed to fight that?" The sword glowed brighter. "You do not fight it with strength. You fight it with will." Ryvor stepped fully onto the temple floor now, massive and terrifying. Its tail slammed into a pillar, shattering it like glass. Purple fire dripped from its teeth. Its eyes locked on Eli. "A human?" the beast growled. "The smallest creature in this world dares call me." Eli backed up, shaking. "Look, I didn't call you. I didn't want any of this." Ryvor moved closer, its hot breath washing over him. "Then why are you here? Why do you touch the chosen blade? Explain." "Before I break you." Eli's hands trembled around the sword. "I didn't choose the sword," he whispered. "It chose me." The monster's giant head shifted closer, studying him. "A human. Chosen? Impossible. The sword hummed sharply. Lift me. Eli nearly dropped it. What? Now? Lift me, Eli. Before he kills us both. Jadar's tail curled around a pillar, crushing it easily. Purple sparks dripped across the floor. I will not be challenged, the monster roared. Eli's breath came fast and shallow. He could feel the heat of the creature. One swipe of its claw would tear him apart, but he stepped forward anyway. Jadar growled in confusion. You approach me, you? A weak little human? Eli gulped. I'm terrified, okay? I'm shaking. I don't even want to be here. But I can't run, because everyone else out there needs help. The sword hummed with approval. Good. Jadar's eyes narrowed. You speak truth, but truth cannot save you. The monster raised one massive claw. Eli knew this was it. He either lifted the sword now, or he died. He planted his feet on the cracked stone. He tightened his grip. He whispered, Please, let me help them. Lift me. Eli took a deep breath and pulled at first. Nothing happened. The sword felt glued to the stone. Eli clenched his teeth and pulled harder. His arms shook. His chest burned. Sweat rolled down his neck. Jadar watched, amused, pathetic. The monster's claw rose higher. Eli roared and pulled with everything he had. Still, nothing. His heart broke. Please, I'm trying. The sword suddenly burned hot in his hands. You try. Even when you believe you cannot win. That is why I chose you. Light exploded from the blade. The platform cracked. The stone split open, and the sword ripped free with a flash of pure white energy. Eli stumbled backward, holding the ancient weapon high in the air. For the first time in history, it had chosen someone, and that someone was human. The temple wall shook as the sword released a huge wave of light. Jadar roared in pain, covering its face as the blast struck its armored skin. Eli stared at the glowing blade in disbelief. As the shockwave faded, Jadar lowered its claws and glared at him with fury. You have awakened a power you cannot control. Eli tightened his grip. Maybe he couldn't control it yet, but he wasn't going to run. Not now. Not ever. The sword pulsed with energy in his hand and whispered, Now we fight. Asterisk. The blast of white light rolled across the entire Temple of Echoes, shaking its ancient walls. Cracked pillars groaned. Crystal statues shattered into dust. The ground trembled beneath Eli's feet as if the entire planet was breathing fast. And afraid. Eli stood on the broken platform, holding the legendary sword in both hands. The blade glowed like a piece of a star, soft, alive, and impossibly bright. For a long moment, everything fell silent. Even Jadar, the ancient destroyer rising from the underworld, paused and stared at the small human in disbelief. The giant beast lowered its massive head, almost confused. A human lifts the celestial blade? This is not possible. Eli didn't feel victorious. He felt terrified. His hands shook. His breath came fast. His legs almost gave out, but the sword pulsed warmly in his palms, as if trying to calm him. Do not fear. I am with you. Outside the temple, thousands of aliens watched in shock as beams of light shot through the roof. Some knelt. Some screamed. Some whispered old prophecies. But one voice cut through the noise. Sirah's. Eli, please be alive. Inside, Eli took a step back as Jadar crawled fully out of the crack. The monster towered above him, horns scraping the ceiling, armored scales glowing with purple fire. You! Jadar growled, voice shaking the air. You hold the weapon that defeated me long ago. I didn't defeat anyone. Eli shouted, I don't even want to fight you. The beast leaned closer, hot breath washing over him. But you will. Because you hold the hero's curse. Eli swallowed hard. Curse? The sword hummed softly in his hands. He speaks truth. What curse? Eli demanded. The one who lifts me, the sword whispered. must face the destroyer. Eli's heart dropped. He wasn't chosen because he was special. He was chosen because he was willing to try. And now, he had no choice but to try again. Jader's wings unfurled, massive enough to cover the whole temple. Purple fire dripped from the tips like molten lava. "You cannot win," the creature snarled. "You are a human, small, weak, breakable." Eli stepped backward. His hands trembled on the sword's handle. "You're right," he whispered. "I am small. I am weak." Jader smirked, a cruel and ancient smile. "But," Eli continued, voice shaking but steady, "I don't need to be the strongest. I just need to be the one who tries." The sword flashed with pride. "Good, Eli, good," Jader roared. "Words will not save you." The beast slammed its claw toward Eli like a falling mountain. Eli cried out and raised the sword instinctively. Light exploded from the blade, white, hot, powerful. The attack hit the glowing barrier around Eli and shattered into 1,000 sparks. Jader reared back in surprise. "The sword still has its shield?" Lily looked down at the blade, shocked. "Did I do that?" "We did that," the sword whispered. "We are one now." The cracks on the floor glowed brighter, stretching across the temple like a map of veins. Symbols lit up in a wide circle around Eli, old, ancient, speaking words he didn't understand. "What is this?" Eli asked. "The path," the sword said. "The map to Jader's final prison." Jader snarled and stomped forward, smashing stone beneath its feet. "I will not be imprisoned again." The ground shook violently. Dust stormed around them. Huge chunks of the ceiling fell, crashing onto the floor. Eli stumbled backward. He wasn't sure how long the shield could protect him. "I don't know how to fight," he shouted. "I don't know what I'm doing." "But you are still here," the sword replied gently. "That is enough for now." Jader exhaled a blast of purple fire toward him. Eli lifted the sword again. Another blast of white light shot forward, clashing with the fire. The two forces pressed against each other, purple against white, hot against cold, ancient evil against human fear. Eli gritted his teeth. "Come on, please, please." The white light pushed harder, brighter, until it shattered the fire and slammed into Jader's chest. The beast roared in pain, stumbling back, but it wasn't defeated, not even close. The creature tore through the temple floor again, its tail smashing everything in its path. "Eli Grant," Jader boomed. "I will end you first, then I will end your world." Eli's heart froze. His world, his people, his home. Jader wasn't just a threat to Ryvor. He was a threat to Earth too. Eli tightened his grip on the sword. "I'll stop you," he whispered, voice trembling. "I don't care if I'm scared. I don't care if I'm weak. I'll still stand here." Jader growled with rage, and the air vibrated with ancient fury. "Then you will die like the ones who stood before you." But the sword spoke softly, calmly, like the voice of someone who had waited centuries for this moment. "No, destroyer. This human is different." The blade glowed so brightly that even Jader stepped back. He does not stand because he is strong. He stands because he cannot watch others fall. Jader hissed. "He is still just a human." The sword pulsed with warm light, energy swirling around Eli like a protective wind. And that is why he is chosen. A human heart can change fate. Eli stared at the glowing sword. "I can't do this alone," he whispered. "You are not alone." The symbols on the floor blazed with white fire, stretching outward like a shining path. Sira, standing outside the temple, saw the light bursting through the cracks and gasped. The sword of Ryvor. It accepted him. Aliens around her dropped to their knees. Inside the temple, Eli lifted the glowing blade. Jader lowered its head and roared, fire swirling around its jaws. The final battle had not begun yet, but destiny already had a winner. In mind the small, frightened human with the heart that wouldn't break. The Temple of Echoes could no longer contain what was rising. The cracks in the floor thin lines, before burst open like exploding veins. Purple fire surged upward, lighting the temple with a painful glow. Entire stone slabs were thrown into the air. Ancient carvings melted. Crystal towers inside the temple shattered like glass. Eli tightened his grip on the sword as Ryvor pushed its massive body fully into the world. The beast was enormous, far bigger than the stories told. Its wings were torn and jagged, made of living flame. Its scales were black as midnight, glowing from inside with purple light. Its fangs were as long as swords, and its eyes were more ancient than the planet itself. Ryvor spread its wings wide, hitting the temple ceiling and breaking it open. Rocks and crystal shards fell like rain. The sky above turned dark, swirling with storm clouds. Outside, aliens screamed and ran for cover as the temple roof collapsed. Sira pushed through the dust, desperate to see inside. "Eli!" she shouted. "Eli, answer me!" But her voice couldn't reach him. Not through the roar of a reborn monster. Inside, Eli stumbled as the ground rolled like waves under his feet. The sword pulsed in his hands, desperate and urgent. "He is breaking free." Eli stared at the creature. "He's already free." "No. This is only the beginning." Ryvor lifted its head toward the sky and unleashed a deafening roar. A wave of purple energy blasted outward, throwing Eli across the room. He crashed into a pillar and fell to the ground, coughing. The sword flickered in his grip. He almost dropped it. "Stay with me," he gasped. "I am here." Ryvor's huge claws smashed into the stone floors, dragging its body toward the entrance of the temple. The monster's voice rumbled deep and hateful. "I, reborn." Eli forced himself up. His legs shook violently. He wasn't ready for this fight. He had barely even learned how to hold the sword. But thousands of innocent people were outside. "Sword," Eli whispered. "Tell me what to do." "Do what humans always do." "What's that?" "Try." Ryvor turned its burning eyes toward Eli again. "You still live?" It growled. Eli staggered forward, holding the sword in both hands. "Yeah, I'm surprisingly hard to kill." Ryvor snarled and raised one massive wing. A blast of purple fire shot toward Eli. He screamed and swung the sword without thinking. A wall of white light burst outward from the blade round, bright, protective. The fire slammed into the shield and spread like water hitting stone. The entire temple shook from the collision. Eli could feel the energy vibrating through his bones. "I can't do this alone," he cried. "You are not alone," the sword whispered. Again. "Feel my light. Let it guide your hands." Ryvor roared again and lunged forward. The ground cracked under the creature's weight, sending rocks flying. Eli ran, barely avoiding a claw that hit the ground where he stood moments before. The impact left a crater. Dust filled the air, choking him. He rolled, coughing, sword still in hand. Ryvor's tail came next, swinging like a spiked whip. Eli jumped. Barely. The tail smashed through a wall, sending rubble crashing outside. Aliens ran screaming as debris hit the streets. Sira shielded her eyes from the dust. "Eli, where are you?" "Inside." Eli faced Ryvor again. The beast towered over him. "You fight." With fear in your eyes, Ryvor said, "Mosagikingl." "Why?" Eli shouted back. "Fear keeps me alive." He swung the sword. A bright arc of white energy cut through the dust, striking the beast across the chest. Ryvor roared, not in pain, but in surprise. "The blade still bites." Eli stared in shock. Did I actually hit you?" The sword hummed proudly. "You strike true." Ryvor's wings flared. "I will end this planet, and I will end you first." The destroyer rose to its full height and smashed its claws down on the temple floor, sending shockwaves through the entire structure. Eli jumped, but not in time. The shockwave hit him and threw him across the room again. He hit the ground hard, sliding across broken stone. His back screamed with pain. His lungs burned. His hands trembled. The sword flickered weakly. Eli grit his teeth. "Not yet. Please. Don't leave me." "I am here," the sword whispered, faint but steady. "But you must stand. I can't." Eli pushed himself up with shaking arms. "I don't know how to win. I don't know how to use you. You don't need knowledge." Ryvor stomped closer, each step shaking the floor. "You need heart," Eli gasped, forcing himself to stand. He wiped blood from his face. "Heart," he repeated, voice shaking. He tightened his grip on the sword. Ryvor's eyes burned brighter. "You humans never learn." "Maybe," Eli said softly, "but we never stop trying either." The beast roared and lunged at him. Eli raised the sword again. This time, he didn't swing wildly. He didn't panic. He didn't freeze. He moved. With purpose. White light wrapped around him like armor. A glowing shockwave burst outward. Ryvor's claws smashed into the shield, and sparks exploded everywhere. Eli pushed forward. Ryvor snarled. "Impossible! Impossible!" Eli shouted with all his strength. "Get away from this planet!" A burst of white fire launched from the sword, stronger than anything before. It slammed into Ryvor's chest and threw the monster backward. The beast toppled through the half-destroyed wall of the temple and crashed onto the city floor outside. Sira screamed. "It's out! Ryvor is out!" Aliens scattered as the ancient destroyer rose again. Shaking dust off its wings. Eli stumbled out of the broken temple entrance, sword glowing in his hands. The wind hit his face. The smell of burning stone filled the air. The sky above swirled. With lightning, Sira ran toward him, tears in her eyes. "Eli, you're alive." "I'm almost alive," he said, coughing. Ryvor spread its giant wings, casting a shadow over the entire city. "This world will burn," it bellowed. "And then, your world." Eli stepped forward, sword glowing brighter than ever. "Sira," whispered, voice shaking. "Eli, you can't fight this alone." He smiled weakly. "I'm not alone. Not anymore." The sword pulsed with pure light. "Now," it whispered, "we end this." Asterisk. The ancient city of Kamal shook as Ryvor spread its enormous wings across the sky. The destroyer looked bigger than the mountains behind it, dark, burning, alive with ancient rage. Purple lightning shot from the clouds, striking the creature, and charging its massive body with even more power. Thousands of aliens ran through the streets in panic. Buildings collapsed. Crystal bridges broke apart. The air filled with dust, screams, and fear. Sira grabbed Eli's arm. "You can't fight him. You're injured. Your body can't take this." Eli winced. His ribs hurt. His back felt broken. His arms shook, but he still stood, because he had to, because no one else could. He looked at Sira with trembling breath. "If I run, who fights for your people?" Sira's eyes filled with tears. "But you will die." Eli forced a small, tired smile. "Maybe, but I'd rather try and fail than watch everyone else fall." The sword pulsed softly in his hands, its warm light touching his heart. "We are ready," it whispered. Eli nodded. "Then let's finish this." Ryvor turned toward him, its giant head lowering. Purple fire dripped from its jaws like burning poison. "You," the monster growled. "The human who holds the celestial blade." Eli's legs shook, but he didn't step back. "I'm the one standing between you and every person on this planet," he said. His voice cracked, but the sword made it strong. The destroyer's laugh shook the ground. "A broken, bleeding human? You think you can stop him, eh?" Eli's hand tightened on the sword. "No, I don't think I can." Ryvor paused. Sira's breath hitched. Alien stared. Eli continued, voice growing stronger. But I will try, and I will try until my last breath. The sword glowed fiercely, light spiraling around him. That is why I chose you, it whispered softly. Ryvor roared, with fury shaking the mountains. Then die, little human. The monster lunged. The ground exploded under its weight. Ellie charged. Everyone watching froze in fear as the smallest being on the field ran toward the greatest monster their world had ever known. The final battle. Ryvor swung its massive claw. Eli dodged barely. The force tore the ground apart. He rolled, lifted the sword, and unleashed a burst of white light that hit the monster's shoulder. Ryvor roared, stumbling, but the beast recovered instantly. A blast of purple flame shot toward Ellie fast, deadly. Eli raised the sword. A shield erupted, but weaker this time. He gritted his teeth as pain shot through his arms. The sword whispered urgently, "Your body is failing." "I know," he gasped. His legs trembled. Blood dripped down his forehead. His breaths came short and sharp. Ryvor leaped into the air, wings spreading like a storm. "I will end this world." The destroyer roared. Eli planted his feet. "No, you won't." Ryvor dove downward, claws ready to tear him apart. Eli raised the sword. White light erupted brighter than anything before, blinding. Pure, powerful. The blade's energy wrapped around Ellie like wings made of light. The white glow shot upward, meeting Ryvor mid-air. The impact shook the planet. The explosion of light threw aliens off their feet, shattered windows across the city, and ripped clouds apart in the sky. Sira shielded her eyes. "Eli." Dust filled the air. Silence. Everyone held their breath. What are we man eat? Little by little, the dust began to clear. A crater had formed in the ground, deep, steaming, glowing. At its center, Ryvor lay motionless. Its wings had crumbled. Its fire had faded. The destroyer's armor had cracks glowing with white energy. The beast's voice was weak now, shaking with shock. "A human brought me down." Eli stood in front of it, barely standing, legs shaking, body bleeding, but still holding the sword. He didn't look like a hero. He looked like someone who had given absolutely everything he had. Ryvor stared at him with ancient, fading eyes. "How?" the monster whispered. Eli swallowed hard. "I'm not the strongest," he said. "I'm not the fastest. I'm not even brave." He lifted the sword. It felt heavy now, almost too heavy for him to hold. "But humans don't quit." The sword pulsed gently, as if agreeing with him. Ryvor gave one final defeated breath. Its huge body turned into ash-light purple, dust that rose into the sky and scattered like smoke. The destroyer was gone. The ground stopped shaking. The sky calmed. The city fell into stunned silence. Slowly, Sira walked forward. "Eli, you did it." Her voice cracked with emotion. Aliens began to gather around them, leaders, warriors, citizens, every face filled with awe and disbelief. Eli looked at the sword, its glow now soft and calm. "I didn't defeat him," he said weakly. "We defeated him." His knees gave out. Sira ran and caught him before he fell. Eli smiled faintly. "I think I need a nap." Sira laughed through tears. "You saved us. The whole planet owes you everything." The aliens, thousands of them, bowed to him, even the leaders. One of them said loudly, "The human, the smallest among us, has saved Ryvor." Eli blinked, dizzy. "I really did that?" "Yes," Sira whispered. She touched his face gently. "You were chosen, not because you were strong, but because your heart never gave up." The sword glowed once more, whispering softly, "Rest now, Eli. Your world is safe." Eli finally let his eyes close. He didn't fall. Sira held him, smiling through her tears. "The human who couldn't lift a sword," she whispered, lifted a whole world instead.